finally get called back, and then I sit in that exam room for how long?
Too long.
Too long. Okay, we've all had the experience, and we know where I'm headed with this, except for now, let's throw the wrench in the works. I'm now the physician. I walk in to your exam room, and I go, hey, it's good to see you. Dr. John here, how are you? Hey, just wanted to let you know, I think I'm going to forego asking you where it hurts or what your issue might be, because the last 4 people I've met with, I've prescribed either this cholesterol medication or this really good pain medication. And I promise, if you take one of these 2, you're going to love the way you feel. Take like 4 of these and call me in the morning. What would you do? Put yourself in the patient's position. What in the world would you do if that were you? The doctor walks in and has that kind of conversation with you, and you go, excuse me? I'm here because I can't sleep at night because my shoulder has been hurting as badly as it has. And although maybe your pain medication will be part of the process at some point, I hope not. And by the way, you forgot to ask me why I'm even here, where it hurts, what the need might be. Right? How would you deal with that physician, if we can even call him one? Would you? What do we call those types of individuals that prescribe without, do we call, there are some doctors that do this, by the way. Are doctors typically living up to the Hippocratic oath they take if they act that way? No, we call that malpractice. And we probably, instead of calling the individual a doctor, might call the individual more like maybe a drug dealer. Yeah. So there's a difference in the world between doctor and drug dealer, right? What does a doctor do? A doctor comes in, has a very set methodology for coming up with an accurate diagnosis, is very concerned about need itself, and then it may not be a pharmaceutical recommendation. What might the solution entail? Maybe it's just physical therapy. Maybe it's surgery. Maybe it's A, B, or C. But there's a whole wide range of options that we might conclude are correct. He won't come in and simply say, boy, let me show you what I've done for the last 4. Unless the last 4 happen to have the very malady that you did, and what are the chances of that? So here's the question. If we're serious about functioning less like the chop shop, now wait, hold on, I just have to cover this right up front, I have to insert this. There is going to be, if you decide that you want to, or maybe you're already to a point where you're like, I don't operate like a chop shop, I'm all about me. I'm all about being the financial physician correctly. If that's where you're already at, I congratulate you. If you're still making the transition philosophically from being more transactional and more like the chop shop than the risk management firm, then I'm going to suggest to you, and I'm going to warn you right up front, you're going to face resistance in the marketplace. Doing it the right way isn't doing it the easy way. Because what's the public been conditioned to think? 15 minutes will save me 15%. I don't want to be inconvenienced. I don't have time. And to that response, to that whole slew of objections out there culturally, I have one response. Fair enough. But I can't help you.
That's exactly, I was thinking, not to interrupt you, but when I went to the doctor, I told him exactly what I wanted to do with my hand, which wasn't stitches. I had stitches in my hand. He was not going to let me tell him what I wanted. So like if a customer comes in and says, I want auto insurance at this level, at this level, at this level, he said, I'm not going to I'm not gonna put super glue in there, you need stitches. And so
Okay.
that follows that same model of,
It
are we giving them
does.
are we giving them what they want and what they need?
Yeah, and at some point, you have to, but how was the bedside manner of the physician? Did the physician come in and say, oh, you're demanding glue, but I'm not sure, I think stitches might be more effective for these reasons? Or was it, hell no, don't tell me what to do, I'm the doctor.
I would say it's somewhere in the middle,
Oh,
over there,
okay.
probably.
All right.
Because I was sure what I wanted.
Okay.
But, that was something that struck my mind about what you were saying.
No, I appreciate that. My thought is, and my response there is, good for the doctor, except for let's make sure the bedside manner, as we do it, is more like the former than the latter I just described, right? And let's make sure that as people say, well, no, wait a second, I don't have time for all that. They go, oh, hey, fair enough. I certainly want to be sensitive to your constraints, but boy, I'll tell you, there are some things we need to walk through that will ultimately benefit you long term. So let's reschedule and let's make sure we have a chance to sit down when it makes sense and if it makes sense to have this conversation and to do it the right way. What does that say to somebody when you have that conversation that way with them?
Care.
A, you care. B, what?
Not just in it for the sale.
You're not just in it for the sale, see? You're certainly sensitive to what they're feeling right this minute, right? And you're exercising that sensitivity, but at the same time, well, there must be something valuable going on there under the hood that I haven't seen yet if maybe I want to look. And if the timing is not such in their life that they want to look at it holistically with you, that's okay. We call that the prospecting process. When your philosophy becomes set in amiable stone, and when you commit to do business a certain way, you will find initially that it will repel some, or let me not say repel is a strong word, it will filter a few along the way that would have been pain in the butts anyway, in some respects. But what will it also do? If you've got a set operational philosophy, and it's not just a philosophy, it's just how it is deep down. It's internalized. It is committed to. It is absolutely the way business gets done because you care so much. You know, they don't know to care this much about their financial house. You as the professional know that you clearly care more than they do today, but that you can coach them up over time to care as much as you do. You'll start developing, if you haven't already, and many of you have, but if you haven't already, you'll start developing clients for life that will not leave you because Horace Mann sends them 75 things in the mail on every separate auto policy and stuff. They will not leave you because despite all the shortcomings, they will trust you. And they will have their business nowhere else because they will know that they have a financial physician that is looking out for their best interest. Let me be mercifully brief. I got on a tangent. The risk management firm is manned by the risk management professional, the financial physician, who refuses to prescribe, doesn't do any of that until they diagnose. And number 3, if they won't prescribe before they diagnose, then what's the result? Superior what? Superior outcomes over time. Now we're going to demonstrate why that may be the case moving forward. But we work on a model that says, and oh, by the way, as we move into the new environment as fiduciaries, anybody heard about that? As we move into a Department of Labor world, we're going to have to get all the more serious about acting as the financial physician versus the anything else, versus the chop shop.
Now, I'll say though that that chop shop process is a lot of what our documentation, when we go to open up a camel or side-by-side comparison, requires. I mean, it's basically, that's our orders and process.
Yeah, and you know what, it's the process all over the industry. And you know what? Cost is definitely part of the equation.
Yeah, I think the whole chop shop part is part of the equation, you just need to put that into it with it.
But we're going to make sure that we have adequately diagnosed the situation before we can prescribe a rental. No, I don't have time for all that. Okay. You're in charge. I'm cool with that. I just can't help you. Because I can't. I absolutely can't risk malpractice. I care too much about the households I serve and taking care of them absolutely comprehensively, professionally in all ways. If I chipped my tooth, maybe I did. I'm that excited, I care that much. I just
Hopping into that.
Yeah, I jump with a bit here. The point I'm driving at is, hey, you know what? I care that much about the household that if it doesn't make sense for you to really dive in and get it right at this point, there are clearly 46 chop shops up and down the street I'd be happy to refer you to. Actually, I won't refer you, I'll just let you go discover. And as you discover them, maybe it'll make sense at some point to get back together. I'll look forward to that day. When was the last time you said that to somebody?
Man, that felt good.
When was the last time you liberated your own world to the extent that you actually said it and they went, oh, this individual is not going to pursue me. There actually might be something valuable there I should look at. Boy, right there, philosophically, we can choose to behave like chop shops, and we can continue to run retention for various other reasons in the mid-'80s. And we can continue to not write as much in financial services as we otherwise might. And we can continue on to be continuing on the way we continue on. And I'll say this from a broad perspective, we can continue on to be perceived as pretty mediocre in the minds of the public as a profession. Or we can be catalysts of change, both in our own worlds and if we'd all just step up and do it. Boy, what would the public ultimately think? These guys are for real. These individuals probably are worth dealing with. Please.
Not to steal his thunder, but just to give you kind of an interjection, and we've had this conversation before, but part of what you gotta think about is what John's talking to you about and what they'll continue to talk to us about, is about standing out and being different, you know? Think about if I used a simple example of a gas station. We joke about it, but we've all seen the pictures of the 1950s. You pull into the gas station and a crew of 4 comes out. They check your tire pressure, they check your oil, they put gas in your car for you, they do your windshield for you, right? What have we as a society trained ourselves to accept now at a gas station? You get out and you do it yourself and you're at a speedway, nobody cares, right? I went to a sales conference and it was kind of interesting, you know, the guy told a story. He said, okay, so I'm gonna go out and I'm going to build a brand new Jiffy Lube. Keith's Jiffy Lube. Would you come to my new Jiffy Lube and try it? Yes or no? Sure. If I offered a 20% discount, would you? Sure. Okay, how much would I have to discount to get you in the door? Okay, so let's take a look at it totally differently. If I said, I don't want a discount. I'm gonna open Keith's Jiffy Lube, but the difference is, I'm gonna come to your house, Ted, I'm gonna pick the car up from you at night. We'll take it, we'll do it overnight while you're sleeping. I'll actually wash and wax your car as well as change the oil. It'll be waiting in your driveway in the morning with the keys wherever you told me to put it. Now would you come and try my Jiffy Lube? And the real question is, would you be willing to pay more?
And how much more? Within reason?
Yeah.
See the difference? How can I stand out from the, because Gilbert, you're absolutely right. Horace Mann and every one of our competitors, we train this way because really it's the way everybody else does it. If I open a gas station tomorrow, I do it that way because really that's the way everybody does it. But is there a way to be different so that now, instead of